What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a lot to go over. Just to get right into it, a special UFO task force is being set up after the U.S. shot down 3 in 3 days. It says that the special UFO task force, including FAA, Pentagon, and Homeland Security experts, is being set up after U.S. shot down 3 in 3 days, and officials still don't know what they are. So this is where we are at right now, where we literally have them shooting down things and saying that they don't know what it is. They have not provided any kind of proof of what they actually are. They have not recovered anything, and they're saying that they're taking this down. This is after a couple years of essentially the Congress asking questions about these TikTok videos of these aliens and UFOs that are basically defying gravity and doing all this. Meanwhile, you have the Chinese spy balloon that happened right before this, so people are thinking, well, this is either, spy surveillance stuff or whatever else. Meanwhile, all of these other countries around the world, now including Romania and Moldova, Canada, Taiwan, China, Mexico, Latin America, all of these places have this. What the heck is going on? This is just absolutely getting, this is a circus. It says the White House has announced it is putting together a new task force to study the potential security risks posed by new airborne objects. I wonder if they're going to call them NAOs, right? Detected in U.S. airspace. The new group, by the way, they're creating a group specifically for this event, whatever the heck this is. Created on orders from National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, will see experts from the Pentagon, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Department of Homeland Security and other government agencies come together to analyze unidentified aerial phenomena. What? This is, you'd think they would be able to go, okay, well, these are all weather balloons. Or, oh, okay, obviously, you don't need a task force for balloons floating over us, right? You just shoot them down and you start asking the other person, whoever's sending them, questions. This is different, though. Why are they making this look like we have aliens visiting Earth? We'll talk about this and much, much more on tonight's show, so stick around. This is on low on the totem pole of all of the weird stuff that is going on right now, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right. All this weirdness aside, we are happy to be here tonight on, again, the 14th of February, 2023. Thank you guys for joining us. We have a lot to go over tonight, so if you are new here, just happen to be, make sure to go to marfooglenews.com where you can find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we have put here. This has a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, reference. Anything that we're going to show you is going to be right there. In fact, when you go to our website, it's very easy to navigate. You'll just look for today's thumbnail. They win, they lose. Either way, we are in big trouble. And then once you click on that, you will find that every single piece that we have here is sourced. That way you know exactly where this information is coming from. On top of that, at the very bottom, you will actually see there is a yellow bar. That is the web-only/overflow. That means that all of the stuff that could not fit into today's show or the stuff that they don't let you talk about, that would all be down there. So make sure to go check that out as well. And we'll talk about that more at the very end of the show. Just a quick reminder, we are independent. We are run on our own. We don't have a multi-channel network. If you do want to support us, on the right side of the page, if you see an affiliate that you actually want, like you see a product that you want during our show, you can go to the right side, and all of those are the links for any appropriate affiliate. Again, those are all affiliates, so that means we only get something if and when you buy something, and we get a small commission. So thank you. In all of those cases, you get some sort of discount. That way you get a discount, you're helping us, and so on. All right, let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So I'm a little backwards today. I switched where everything is, so I'm looking backwards here. Also, remember to go to marfooglenews.com/friends. We make sure to point out all of our mods that are helping out in the chat below. They also are creators. A lot of them are either YouTube creators. They have multiple social platforms like Bones, Trinity, great editor and does amazing videos. Ilea does awesome comedy. And then, of course, we have people like Chance that are doing, he is an author. He's published on Amazon. So make sure to go over there, marfooglenews.com/friends. All right, let's get back into it. So, Dex, let's comment about the task force, but really the next story is U.S. military says it recovers the key sensors from the downed Chinese spy balloon. So at the same time they're doing this task force, they're saying that they recovered something from the original, but they still haven't shown us any proof of Alaska, Michigan, Lake Huron, Canada, any of these other ones, right?
Well, we're making progress. So we've got one, at least they're claiming they've got it, and I'm assuming they've got it up. They don't just mean they found it, because they said last time we reported they had found it, but they hadn't pulled it out of the water yet. So presumably we have one, but that's still troubling that we don't have anything on the other three. I would have liked to have thought we would have access to all of them by now, at least have them protected, have them secured, have the debris area, identified, etc. But, not moving as fast as I would think. If fortunately, if we had a stranded soldier somewhere, we would go get them. If there was a crew member on a ship that was sick, we would send helicopters in and get them immediately. But we can't go do that with this type of debris. We can't just immediately take it. We have to sit back and wait.
Okay, common sense meter is going off. As far as they didn't recover any of the other three. When they took these things down, no matter if they're at 30,000, 50,000, whatever else, you would think that accompanying would be a camera tracking on whatever it hit would be falling down. The F-22 has amazing tracking, abilities as far as, hitting it in the first place, but then these things are going hundreds of miles, if not 1,000 miles per hour, and it's going by, right? But wouldn't they have a helicopter or something down below that has a lock on it with some sort of, military grade telescope looking at exactly where it is? And then once it gets knocked down, does it shoot, 5 miles away from where it's hit? Or does it fall down like gravity says it would? Why would they not wait on all three of these objects? Was it so urgent? And this is something they don't talk about. Was it so urgent that they had to take them out the second they saw them? Or could they have waited and over an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours followed it along and then took it down over where they could actually get to it? I believe that makes common sense what they would actually do. I don't think that they would just go shoot it down and then, wherever it was, we don't know. We just don't know where it went. If there were physical pieces of it, even if it's cloth, they would have found it. They're lying to us, that's my opinion, because they would have had to have found something on those three other objects, if those three other objects exist. And the fact that they aren't showing us these objects and they're saying that they don't have it, it either means that it didn't happen or that they do not want to show us what they found. And that, again, this might be some 4D chess. They might be purposely doing that to make us think, oh, what if it's UFOs? And then we're distracted from all of the other crap going on. But again, this is happening globally now with, of course, you have Taiwan, China, Romania, Moldova, and it seems like there's a common denominator. It's all of the countries that may or may not be involved in this conflict with UKR. I don't know what's happening here, but I think that we're being lied to. That's easy to say. Or they're covering something up for our safety. Kay Holmes, thank you, says, hope all are well. Keep up the good work, Marf and Dex. Glad we could get the real news and not this MSM sugar-coated crap. Just my 2 cents. Well, thank you, Kay Holmes. I appreciate that. And then FG, Fall Geeky, hey, nice to see you. Thank you for the super sticker. You didn't have to do that. And then Neil Nelson, thank you for being the last one to support last night, along with the Lifeboat and Theta Mooned Me and Daddy Prepper. Thank you guys, and thank you for supporting Independent. All right, and then let's see here. Baffled pilots say Lake Huron octagonal UFO is not balloon in the actual audio. So Dex, they actually said that this thing wasn't a balloon in the audio, and they're saying that it was octagonal. What the heck could that be?
Exactly. They don't know. I think part of the audio, they make reference to potentially having some sort of cables hanging from it or string hanging from it or something along those lines. So that in one hand sounds like it could be some sort of balloon structure, because that's what you would typically think. But it's very odd that they're actually describing it in an odd shape, and they're basically saying, no, it doesn't look like a balloon. But at the flip side is these things are really small, and really small comparatively speaking. When it's not moving, but you're flying, 500 miles an hour, 600 miles an hour, you don't have a lot of time to get a close-up view of it. You can't get too close to it because you don't know what risks may be involved. And you do your best with your line of sight as you're, flying around it, near it, by it, trying to identify it, under it, over it, etc. And so it's really hard for a pilot to get a lot of information. But what this is coming from is the conversations, the recorded conversations from the pilots that were over the radio.
Now, I would say, is there any pilots here? Somebody made this argument. They had a video on Twitter that showed, I don't know if it was the other side or if it's an original video, but they show the two towers, and it shows an angle that looks like nothing hit it, right? Well, I totally think I started all of this because of videos I watched in 2003 that AJ, his grassroots campaign was handing out loose change, the DVDs, like literally burnt off of DVDs and handing out. That's why I got into this. So I know, I absolutely think that everyone of this generation should go back to 2001 and ask questions about how they all fell in footprint, all that kind of stuff. But as far as one of the arguments that was made was saying that a commercial jet wouldn't be able to line up with the building because he's going 500, 600 miles an hour. Personally, I think that there's a lot of ways that pilots can do that. If you're a pilot, do you think that they have a way, especially a jet, something like that, and you would think, if it's at that height, could they fly around it in circles and look at it, get a solid look at the thing? I think they would, just because from, obviously would have seen they're able to do it at flight shows. You would think it would be able to fly around in a circle. He'd look up through the cockpit and see this thing up close. Mind you, yeah, if you're going 600 miles, something's here, and you go, poof, and just keep going, yeah, it's going to be hard to see. I mean, heck, when you're going 200 miles or 150 miles on a motorcycle, the lines start going straight. But I think that they could have gotten a straight look at this. But as far as like the plane hitting the building, they said an amateur pilot couldn't do that. It would take 5 or 6 tries. That was a big building, and I think that, yeah, it's really bunk, and that whole thing was messed up. But I don't think that's a good argument because pilots can hit a runway, which is about the same size. But anyways, do you think that they could have seen it up close, even with all of the different scenarios that's going on here? Could they fly around it in a circle and look up through their cockpit and see this thing? Are they saying that these things are UFOs? I mean, like, what the heck is this? Or is it an octagonal drone with different helicopter blades in the thing, and it's just floating along and surveilling? It says, I can see it outside with my eyes. Looks like something. There's some kind of object that's distended. It's hard to tell. It's pretty small. In surreal exchanges, when they discuss what the weird object should be called, says, I'm going to call it like a container, says one of the pilots. It says, can't really tell, though, what the shape is, the size of it. that would be challenging. It's so slow and so small, I just can't see it. It says they also speculate how large the object is, with one describing it definitely smaller than a car, while another says is the same size as a four-wheeler. So what the heck is this thing? The repeated sightings and the taking down of the UFOs over the United Airspace has captured the imagination of many UFO enthusiasts, with some believing extraterrestrials are behind them. Well, if that's the case, almost every expert has said that if extraterrestrials visit, it's probably not going to be a good thing. So I guess here's hoping for that they're friendly aliens. And then the last 3 UFOs shot down were not likely Chinese spy devices. Well, you say so. So Dex, now did they just open up radar and now they're shooting kids' balloons from kids' parties out of the sky and spending, F-22 gas tax dollars on it?
Well, DOD told us, hey, we're going to wait for the intelligence officials to tell us what it was. And now they're telling us that these are not spy balloons. So what are they? If they can figure that part out, can't they tell us something else? It just seems very odd to me.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that. Andrew says a Harrier can also hover like a helicopter, fly sideways, go backwards. Yes, but I don't know if they can do that at 40,000 feet up in the air. I thought the same thing.
F-22 might be able to. Not for long, but it can go straight up. So I don't know if they could maneuver it in a way to go straight up and get slower as they're heading up there. Not hover. They lose control after a few seconds.
You went roboto there for a second. And they do that trick where they basically go, stall the plane. You wouldn't do that for long, but couldn't you do that long enough to look at, the object right next to you? You would think you would be able to. And it says the U.S. intelligence officials do not believe that the 3 UFOs shot over the weekend were tied to China's spy balloon. Then why the hell are they doing this? What the hell's the point? So this has nothing to do with the Chinese spy balloon. Now, apparently, they're just finding random things and shooting them down. They're basically spending tax dollars to find any little thing that's floating and going, ah! Some guy in Lake Huron's like, where's my DJI drone? I was flying it, and then it was gone. We don't know what the hell's going on here. Like, this is just absolutely a circus. And then U.S. military swears it's not spying on China with balloons. It spent millions developing. So what they're saying and how they're wording that is saying they're not spying, but they did spend millions developing this exact technology. It said the U.S. said it has no high-altitude balloons above China, but that doesn't mean the technology doesn't exist. Over the weekend, U.S. fighter jets down 3 objects, obviously over Alaska, Canada, and the Yukon. And since this happened, it said the jets fired a Sidewinder missile at what officials said was a Chinese surveillance balloon floating above Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. As the drama played out, China said that it spotted more than 10 U.S. balloons in its airspace, but never shot any of them down. The U.S. government denied that it sent spy balloons to China and says it is China that has a high-altitude surveillance balloon program for intelligence collection that it has used to violate the sovereignty of U.S. and over 40 countries across 5 continents. The White House National Security Council spokesman said in a tweet on Monday. It says, we don't know if America has floated spy balloons over mainland China, but portraying China as being unique in its interest in surveillance balloons is misleading. It's not absurd to suggest that the U.S. is using high-altitude surveillance balloons or sees opportunity in them. In fact, the Pentagon has a long history of investigating the balloon technology, not just as surveillance platforms, but even to deliver, this is a very important part, to deliver biological boom booms. And that interest continues today. These tests have been confused for UFOs. In 2019, the National Weather Service reported it was seeing something strange in the skies above Kansas City. People thought that they had witnessed a legit ET, but it turns out it was actually a DARPA project called ALTA. ALTA, which is Adaptable Lighter Than Air program, was something that they put millions and millions of dollars into. Now, one thing I made a point of on my short shareable video over on news is that this whole thing has, got us in a flurry about China. But what if the original balloon was actually not supposed to be spotted? Maybe there was a technical glitch. Maybe it was lower than it was supposed to, lower than it was supposed to be. And what if that was indeed a U.S. balloon that was actually spying on U.S. Americans, which we're not supposed to do? I wonder how that would change something. Now, I'm not saying I believe China's angle on this. China just basically says we're lying about it, lying about the whatever. And they actually said it was one of their surveillance balloons that went off course. But what if that was a cover line for the U.S. because it was actually one of our programs? Who knows? They all high five behind closed doors. But one point is like, with this, think about this. In the future, near future, we look up and just see these little dots. But in reality, all U.S. citizens be monitored. And this could be happening everywhere around the world. They have balloons floating up above with high technology that is way better than satellite. So it can zoom in and it can even read the text on your screen. Which again, now all of those phones, they've got greater nits so you can see them out in the sunshine. Well, I bet you satellites can too. I just wonder if this is part of our own spying as well as this whole China event that happened. Now, they say that after it went by, that all of these other objects around the world are to make JB look good. That basically, since he screwed up so royally on the first one, that to get people backing and supporting him, that, they're trying to make JB look good because now he's just like, shoot it down, shoot it down. But Justin Trudeau making the order to shoot down the next one right after that doesn't really make JB look better. That makes Justin look like he did what JB should have done in the first place. And either way, even if JB now sees a floating child's balloon in the air and just takes out his revolver and takes the damn thing out, it doesn't change anything. I don't think they care about his approval ratings. Dex, about the Alta thing, what did you think about this when they're talking about all the programs that we have?
Well, they're certainly not false. I can only imagine how many we have. We've had balloon programs for a long time, as witnessed in what we talked about here with DARPA. The red balloons and all that. So we've done a lot of different things with this. It's been used since, going back to the Great Second Conflict. So no surprise here. But, we have to, I guess, take our military's word when they say they're not doing something to Xi's country. If they say it, then that's at least the message they want out there. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up coming of this, and if somebody happens to leak some audio or some documents around it, who knows? But before we do, I do want to remind you guys, again, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. This is a device that can actually protect you, your vehicles, your family from an EMP strike. This will ground the signal of all three phases of an EMP in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your cars, your trucks, your four-wheelers, your boats, your motorcycles, even your home and your generators, all of your solar generators as well. In fact, they make an EMP shield specifically for the Flex 1500 solar generator. So if you're worried about it getting affected by either an EMP or a CME, then make sure to go over and check one of these out. You get $50 off per device, and you end up helping our channel at the same time. This is the same device and the same company that has worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course now they are on the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. They were actually mentioned as one of the few companies that was pulled up when T-Man signed that executive order during his administration to harden our grid. EMP Shield was mentioned in the DHS EMP Resilience Report as one of the main companies that were called up. So this is Keystone military tested technology. Again, make sure to go check it out. It is a very, very good thing to have on all of your vehicles, especially if your vehicle is at risk. You're definitely going to want to be able to get home to bug in, or you're going to want to get out to your bug out spot to bug out. That's marfooglenews.com/EMP. Also, it protects you against lightning as well, which is an added bonus. All right, and then let's talk about China learned how to make its hypersonic weapons twice as devastating. Dex, I'll have you go over this one real quick.
Certainly. So, as we know, they have tested hypersonics, and the way most of these work is they're using scramjet or rebreathers, air breathing technology, and they do this at they use a different tech to get it up, whether it's a plane or a rocket that takes it to a certain altitude. Then it switches over to air breathing, and the whole point here is for fuel efficiency because it's going a long distance and it's going to be burning through a lot of fuel. One of the difficulties here is the range when you can only carry so much fuel with you. So apparently, a paper has come out and they have built a prototype of an engine that will be 79% efficient, which is basically going to double their range. So they're going to be able to take their hypersonic missiles and go twice as far for the same amount of payload or the same amount of fuel that they're going to have loaded into these rockets. So this is a huge advancement, at least for their capabilities. It certainly puts a lot more things in reach. I know, we've talked a little bit about what some of the recent Vladian missiles that came over on that ship. I can't remember the name of them, but they were the ones that came over to the Atlantic, and then they were going down to the drills in South Africa. Those only had a range of like 600 miles. So, sure, fast, devastating, but not very far. They don't go that far. And that's because of the payload, the fuel, and the amount of efficiency they have. So this is a huge accomplishment for them. They need to take it to the next level, though, and get it out of the prototype and into production.
And we never really know what they have, operational. They say what they have and what they already have operational. Again, but that's something somebody mentioned about Tucson. Yes, we have that later on in the show about the truck that overturned the truck that overturned hazmat materials. We'll cover that here in just a minute. And then U.S. renews warning to China that it will defend Philippines from attack. So the Philippines has been popping up a lot lately. It says the United States has renewed a warning that it would defend its treaty ally if Filipino forces come under an armed attack in the disputed South China Sea after a Chinese Coast Guard ship allegedly hit a Philippine patrol vessel with military-grade laser. This is what we covered yesterday. Essentially, they said that they blinded them. This didn't, take their heads off or anything, and it didn't burn a hole into the side of their ship. But what it did, it was on low power, and they blinded the entire ship with this high-grade laser. Well, that gave us reason to say, well, we'll defend them and we'll come and kick your butt. If you play with my friend, then I'll kick your butt. Don't mess with my friend. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said China's dangerous operational behavior directly threatens regional peace and stability, infringes upon freedom of navigation in the South China Sea as guaranteed under international law, and undermines the rules-based international order. But nobody really punks China about this. Like, you would think when this started happening with the Spratlys, and it started happening a lot, you would think the whole world would go in there and be like, no, this isn't your land. Step down. Get out of here with this. Stop telling us to leave international waters. But what they did was, it was kind of a smart, clever move. They took dirt and literally land from the bottom of the ocean. They piled it up and they started making their own islands. That way they could claim anything within 200 miles of whatever, piece of land that was, and then they would be able to control that water. I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of that from other countries, like having the Philippines go out to their water and extend their land, or, something like that. Think about if you took a coastline and just extended your land to where you add an extra 10 miles of land or something to it, or, have a couple islands that you make just like China did. I'm sure it's not cheap to do what they did, but it's pretty incredible. They took these specialized boats that were sucking dirt off the bottom of the seafloor, and they piled it up until they could literally make an island. As far as, this goes, this is just another flashpoint. And they basically say the White House and our people. It's very rare that they'll have, JB get involved in this. He's just kind of like, oh, he's watching Jeopardy right now, but we're going to kick your ass if you go in there. I wonder if he's actually made a direct comment about the Philippines. It says, quote, "The United States stands with our Philippine allies," Price said in a statement after the Philippines on Monday accused Chinese Coast Guard ship of using a laser on February 6th. And then we have Romania and Moldova, which both are very iffy right now. You've got the 101st Airborne Division in Romania digging trenches for U.S. troops on the border of Russia. And then, of course, Moldova has been, buzzing since last year when this whole thing started, because there were battle maps that showed Moldova was going to be taken over. So the fact that they have some floating objects over them, I'm not very surprised. Seems like this is a wartime thing. Romania briefly scrambled military jets, and neighboring Moldova temporarily closed its airspace. Again, this is something that's been happening a lot. There have been whole places where they shut down the airspace and they go in there. Tuesday, after authorities in both countries reported mysterious weather balloon-like objects traversing their skies. Now, here's another option that, again, people mentioned in the beginning. What if these things are dropping little things, little vials of something that can be triggered later, or be released, or, drop a device that's timed or something that in 10 days it releases a odor or something. This is just very, very suspect. And the fact that it now is happening over Romania and Moldova, that's kind of iffy. It says the incidents occurred at around midday local time and briefly raised concerns in the two Eastern European countries, both which border UKR and have been affected by Vlad's conflict. It says Romania's defense ministry said it deployed 2 jets that are under NATO command to its southeastern skies to seek an aerial object that it described as being small with characteristics similar to a weather balloon. It had been detected initially by radar systems in Romanian airspace at an altitude of about 36,000 feet. The crews of the 2 aircraft did not confirm the presence of the aerial target, neither visually nor on board radars. A ministry statement said, adding that the 2 MiG-21 Lance R aircraft stayed in the vicinity for about 30 minutes before turning to base. It was unclear whether the 2 incidents were related, and neither country said that they were believed that these objects come from. So even if you think, say this is orchestrated, say it's not, either way, in all of these countries around the world, what mainstream media is telling us is that all of a sudden, everybody's on super high alert, and any little object in the sky, they're scrambling jets for. Why? What are they not telling us? Because this does not seem, not one iota of it seems truthful. And that's why preppers prep. And I'll tell you, with all of this going on, I'm sure most of you are looking at this and saying, okay, I think this is BS. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing, but I definitely think they're lying to me. What if this is something more serious and we can't even wrap our heads around it because they have totally conflicted all of the information and they're making us look the other way? What if this is something? What are these objects doing? Why are they responding to jets all over the world, scrambling jets to stuff? Why are we on such high alert that all of these places are even going and looking at anything that's reported in the sky? Is this all part of this, huge psyop thing? I don't see other people go, oh, yeah, sure, the whole world's in on something, blah, blah, blah. When people say that, I'm like, are you serious? Because people do, they go, oh, sure, everybody got together and the whole world's against this one thing. And I'm like, yeah, they are. And they did. Through CV, everybody got on the same page like in a month. So yeah, I do believe that's possible. But at the same time, if this is going on in all of these different places, what is actually happening here? What do you guys think it is? Ricky Cannon says it's the Matrix. Franklin's World, Vicky Brook is here. Dante's Furno, I'll just give you that much. Randy Mann, Just Ruth, and of course Juanita Seguski, thank you. Maria Hernandez, Miss MS Tree 1, Mystery 1, I think that is. Susan H, No Fear Psyop. And then Dallas Baldy says, hello, I am a feminist. And then, yep, the Matrix, Susie Sanders, you're welcome here. Hey, Adam, Annie Oakley, 777. Just so you know, J.K. Rowling's actually a feminist. Did you know that? As well. And I support her. Okay, and then, what do you guys think of this? Let me know in the comments down below. Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Russia has lost a lot strategically, operationally, and tactically. Dex, do you want to go over what they're saying about this?
Well, coming out of a meeting, the Joint Chiefs Chair, Army General Mark Milley, basically told reporters Tuesday that statement that basically Russia is now a global pariah and the world remains inspired by UKR's bravery and resilience. In short, Vlad has lost. They've lost strategically, operationally, and tactically. That is his quote. They came out today after that NATO defense meeting in Brussels.
Do you believe that, Dex?
I don't think he is. He's probably the king of Ganda. It's his role to come out and say big things in favor of the position that he takes. So no, I don't know that I necessarily believe that, given everything else we see going on.
This is this guy. This guy said he would call China. If T-Man was going to launch a first nuclear strike, this guy called his counterpart in China and said, don't worry, guys, I'll give you a heads up. This guy should have been fired then. I'm never going to change my opinion about Mark Milley. This guy is a POS. I'm sorry. And it shows you that at the very top levels, the guy that's in charge of a chunk of our military is friends with Xi. Like, what is going on here? I'm sorry. This is just like, this guy is, how is he still employed and probably making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, not to mention $100,000 a pop if you have him speak at a college or something. People like this should not be in their position anymore. He said he called before and after the 6th. I mean, this whole thing is just BS. But he is saying that, oh, yeah, Russia tactically, this and that. I think he doesn't care about his reputation. He's probably on his way out pretty soon. Maybe that's why he doesn't care and he's saying some stupid thing like that. And I'm not in support of Russia, but I also don't underestimate the enemy. And I also don't go for just the BS that's coming out of it. If you take UKR, which UKR has never been a world-ranked military like that, and you take Russia, where it actually it hasn't even used its real soldiers yet. Yeah, you could say, oh, UKR kicking their butts when you have 55, 65-year-old dudes that literally got pulled off their couch and handed an RPG. Yeah, you might kick their butts. But you're talking about a trained military. Just like if you have the U.S. military or conscripts. If they pulled me off the street and within 3 months I was on the battlefield, I am not going to be anywhere close to the soldier that the guy who spent 3 years already in the military, day in and day out. And military, they do training. That's your life. You train this, do this training, that training, this training, nonstop. So as far as him saying that they're tactically losing, this is only to get the support of the United States people, that we didn't waste $44 billion or $50 billion or $78 billion or whatever we sent there, plus all of our gear. We're going to show you later, we are telling them that we can't support them for much longer because we're running out of stuff. We're at least running out of certain things, and that's stupid considering we have other wars on the horizon. Wharton Fissel says, one of those detectors would work good for gold prospecting too. You know what I've always wanted is a metal detector. They're not much anymore. They used to be so expensive, but now you can get them at like Walmart. But I've always wanted to do that. Just go to the beach and detect Let's see here. Wade Deeds, 150 billion. Again, the total of whatever they've sent, that doesn't surprise me at all. Let's see here. Any pastafarians here? Rick Libre, we've got Michael Dominic. We are many species, so all have a way. The powers have the most. Metal detecting is so fun. Yes, awesome. Nice to see you. Danny Ennis. And then Liz Potter. Rachel Queen is here. Thank you so much. And, of course, thank you, K. Holmes, FG, a.k.a. Weather Joy. Thank you so much for your support tonight. It looks like, as well, Jalisa. Thank you, Jalisa H. Thank you for supporting with the super sticker. B-Real Beast says, sent you an email. Please check. God bless. B-Real Beast, if you can remind me, is it B-Real Beast in your email? If you can, let me know what the subject is. And then Redeemed, thank you for the massive support. Thank you for the $50 super chat. You didn't have to do that much, but it is appreciated. Thank you for putting that towards independent media. And then Raven Aerostar, thank you. And again, Redeemed says, thanks for all you do, Marf and Dex. Well, thank you, and thanks for supporting us. Again, don't forget to support all of our peers and all of our friends as well. All right, and then let's see here. And then Russian nuclear bear bombers fly near Alaska as Putin taunts U.S. days after an object was shot down. If you want to hear my opinion about this, I would please ask you to go over to Marfoogle News and watch that short shareable video. Otherwise, Dex, why don't you fill in people on what you thought about this?
Well, it certainly seems a little, miscalculated, in my opinion, to be doing this right on the heels of all this other stuff that's going on with the alleged balloons or other things we've taken down. To start doing flybys near our borders with your tactical nuclear airplanes is not necessarily a great way to maintain peace. If we'd have covered this story, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, we'd just say, yeah, this stuff sort of happens from time to time, and they just, we escort them away, or we, show our presence, and they show their presence, and they go back home. But given the state of tension right now, given the fact that there is an active conflict going on with that country, given the fact that they have threatened the use of nukes over and over again, we are probably, very close to potentially having anything kick off, whether it be conventional or even at a greater level at any moment, with all the nonsense that's going on. It just seems so brazen to do that. And, I don't expect them to do the right thing. Neither do I expect Xi to do the right thing. He keeps flying over Taiwan or, up against Taiwan all the time. So it's sort of in that camp, but it's also extremely reckless at this point in time, given the state of tensions between the major superpowers.
And as far as all of the tensions that, are currently happening, it's like every flashpoint that we've ever learned about in history are all kind of butting heads right now. India, Pakistan, North Korea and South Korea, Iran and Israel, Russia and Ukraine, and then China and Taiwan, Japan and China. I mean, there's so many different hot points right now. I don't know how most people are, flying by the seat of their pants, ignoring this, but as far as all of the different forces that are around the U.S., for years we were geographically, strategically a much harder country to invade or to beat because of our placement. I don't know if that's so much as, I don't think that that's as much of an issue anymore, especially with Canada and their different agreements they had with China, and of course everything that's going on in Mexico. They can't even control what's going on down there, especially with the cartel. They're basically bending their knee to cartel leaders. Before we move on, I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, this is a way for you to be able to get long-term survival food for a fraction of the cost if you were to go buy it in the stores. Again, this is bulk survival food in Mylar bags. And again, this is 25-year shelf life. So this can last until 2052. Again, even then, you could still eat it. That would just be the best by date. This is, they have all different kinds of packages. Again, you can get a 3-day kit, you can get a week, you can get a single meal if you want. But those 3-month packages, they're $200 off. And that way you are getting a huge, huge savings. You are getting 3 months for one person, a month and a half for 2 people, or a month for 3 people if you break that down. And that's huge. To be able to make a one purchase and to have 3 months just set is pretty awesome. Not to mention, very easy, just add water. Freeze-dried food keeps most of the nutrients and most of the flavor. So make sure to go over and check it out. marfooglenews.com/prep. It's always good to have this, as far as with everything going down, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. If you have a blackout, a storm, an earthquake, anything like that, to have food on the ready, just add hot water. That's pretty amazing. That's marfooglenews.com/prep. All right, and then the Dutch F-35s intercept 3 Russian military aircraft over Poland, Netherlands Defense Ministry. So a lot of the community members have said that Poland is going to be one of the really big points of conflict. Poland has been a huge historic point in World War II. Who knows? History may be repeating itself. Again, I gave my opinion over on Marfoogle News. Make sure to go watch that short. Dex, do you want to chime in about this event that happened with Poland?
Well, let's not forget that Vlad or the Kremlin had come out, one of the spokespeople there, saying that they weren't going to hold back their lack of desire to go after Poland. In other words, they have a desire to go after Poland, and it's probably one of their next, if they can ever get UKR finished, in their opinion, it would be their next place. That plus probably Moldova, but they seek. They see Poland as one of those countries that would make a lot of sense. So anytime these crafts are coming into that territory or coming near that or approaching it, it's going to cause alarm. Any country for that matter that's a NATO country is going to cause alarm. So for them to, and I think this was a surveillance plane. Of course, it had a couple of Su-27s along with it. But you never know. You don't know what they're going to do or what the other planes are going to do. And they escorted it away to make sure that they did not invade the airspace. But it is pretty tight around there, and it's easy for this to kick off. Just all it takes is one aircraft to cover into another area and start doing something, and the whole dynamics of the European conflict will change overnight or in that split second when anything happens to a NATO country. So it's kind of dangerous here what they're playing with, but it's also at the same time it's a strong ally in the sense that a strong position that's being held that should keep Vlad away, but I don't know. He keeps talking about going after the West. The West keeps, we keep thinking, at least I say we, I mean me, keep thinking that there's like this underlying, poking and prodding that we're doing to try to provoke him to do something to the West, whether it was the pipeline issue or even the errant missile that went over into Poland. That they later claimed was from UKR. All of these little things just sort of seem like they're trying to, light that fire and get the event kicked off, if it is an orchestrated type of thing.
And as far as this is an interaction that obviously, this isn't as regular as some of the other ones. Like the U.S. chases off Russian planes like this, but this was it seems like a specific unit. Tell me if you're a pilot and or if you're just somebody who's studied, aircraft your whole life. The three combo that they took, was that a strategic combo? I mean, it had the one kind of plane and then two escorts. Was that a message? I mean, obviously it was a show of strength, right? But of something like that. But what would that do in a real life situation? If they were in and going towards a conflict, was that to hit it and be escorted so it doesn't get taken out? By the way, somebody says nobody cares about GMOs, vegan, or I think you said organics when you're hungry. I don't know if somebody was talking about GMO, vegan, or that, or whatever. That was right after we had the MarfoogleNews.com prep. I'll tell you this. There are lots of great survival food companies out there, and I'm not putting any of the other ones down, but I will say is being realistic when everybody is struggling right now. One thing that this is really powerful at, let's get real. If SHTF happens, you're going to eat whatever the heck is in front of you. Mind you, there's other brands, which I have tried a lot of them now. We're talking about this with our discount is $600 for 3 months of food. Some of the other ones, which are great, $1,800 for a 3-month supply. That's 3 times the cost. Now, I have nothing against even later down the road letting people know about those as well. But $1,800 is a lot of money. And if you want to stock up a lot, I would say if you had 3 months of this kind of food, 3 months of that food, 3 months of that. But I definitely think, people put too much importance. Plus, a lot of it is like packaging. Some companies will package it nicer, make nicer stuff. I've tried 2 identical things, and one just had a nicer package, and it was like $6 per meal more. And it's like, I'd rather go with kind of the plain, let me get some food. So yeah, but I'm not there's a lot of really good, there's another brand out there. I'm trying to remember the brand that Alaska Prepper does. That's a really good brand. Dex, I can't even remember it. There's another brand, and that one I ate that food as well, and that's supposed to have a lot of nutrients and stuff baked in. But there's ways to do that either way. If you have this food, then you also plan to have, say, get like a meat bucket and have extra meat and things like that to get your proteins. Which again, the other brand that he does, that's no meat as well. There's no meat in that is either. So yeah, you get the meat bucket from the same company, and then it, basically it complements all of the different meals. So if you're getting, chicken fried rice, you can add some chunks of chicken or chunks of beef or whatever. So yeah, but I do have to say there's a lot of companies out there. I think that people should be stocking up on as much as possible, but that's just my personal opinion, and that will get expensive. That's why if you are able to do it yourself, dehydrate, go learn how to do it on the cheap. I definitely recommend, instead of going through any of our affiliates, go try to do it yourself. It's not easy, and anybody that does it, they know it's a lot of work, but it's definitely one of those things where you're very proud when you get done and you have that food stored. There's a lot of really talented people in the Foogle fam that do their own stuff, and it's a really smart thing to do right now. Either way, you should have extra food and water. However you get it, that's up to you. Let's see here. And then, yeah, so that was that. And then we have Russia deploying nuclear missile carriers in the Arctic for the first time since the collapse of the USSR. Norwegian intelligence reports. So this is coming out of Norway. They are deploying these in an area they have not since, of course, back when the USSR existed. It says these vessels belong to Russia's Northern Fleet. The report noted that during the Soviet era, Northern Fleet warships regularly went to sea with nuclear weapons, but this is the first time that the modern Russian Federation has done the same. It says the key part of the nuclear potential is on the submarines and surface ships of the Northern Fleet, the Norwegian intel noted. Tactical nuclear weapons are a particularly serious threat in several operational scenarios in which NATO countries may be involved. The NIS added that Russia also has submarine capabilities, anti-satellite weapons, and cyber capabilities that could threaten Norway and the alliance. So Norway's actually really worried about this. The ongoing tensions between Russia and the West mean that Russia will continue to pose the greatest nuclear threat to NATO and therefore to Norway. We have family in Norway, and people there are prepping. By the way, it's not looked down upon in Norway and some other places over there. It's not. I don't think they had the same like CIA level like propaganda go through some of their countries. If you prep, it's just considered something that you do in case of a rainy day. Like it's not looked down upon like you're crazy or you're nuts. Just so you know that, like, that's a Western, it's like a U.S. thing specifically, and then it kind of spread from there. But prepping and doing things like that and having extra stuff, that's always just been a responsible thing. Just like, you purchase car insurance for your car, not because you know you're going to get in an accident. You do it because you think you may. It's just smart. It says it cannot be ruled out that a localized war could escalate into a wider conflict with direct military involvement of Russia, the United States, NATO, and Norway. That was the quote. Dex, do you want to comment on that one? And then I'm going to be moving into U.S. warns the UKR.
Well, the investment that's been going on in the Arctic has been significant. We've covered it quite a bit over the last year and a half to 2 years from Vlad and even from Xi. I think we're actually a little behind on that one. We've been spending. So to see them starting to deploy significant things like, nuclear missile carriers into the Arctic just goes to that investment that they're making in that and how strategic that section of the globe is to them.
Yeah, but well, strategically, that part of the globe is going to be, a huge kind of waterway. China and Russia are going to be able to do a whole bunch of stuff with each other through these new waterways. And we covered, how the icebreakers in Russia are making these new paths that the U.S. didn't even know about. And then why so many bases up there? If you're former or current military, if you're serving right now, or if you are, I guess you can't be an ex-Marine, but if you formerly served, please let us know. What do you think that the main point of the Arctic is, other than a strategic stronghold? Why is it harder to attack bases there? Is this something that is kind of it's like a moat or something? Like, please educate me. Again, I'm not an expert on that stuff, so I would love to learn. But then we have the U.S. warns UKR that it may not be able to continue the same level of support. Now, Dex, this is when I first read this, I felt like it was saying, what's going to happen? All of a sudden, they're going to say, "Oh, we're just leaving them out to dry," and then Russia's going to win. By the way, if Russia wins, we are in a lot of trouble. If they lose, I think we are in a lot of trouble. Either way, we are in trouble. If they lose, that's where things escalate a lot. But who knows? Judging off of the real information that's coming out of it, it seems like they're taking land pretty quickly, and that they are now actually advancing with their real military, Terminator tanks, and they're actually, for the first time, bringing their jets over the border, and they're going all in. But Dex, do you want to talk about, there's some specifics mentioned in this article as far as some of the range missiles that they do not want to keep giving?
We've covered recently the fact that our military, specifically Millie, had made another trip over and was telling them, hey, you guys need to stop investing human resources into Bakhmut. You need to quit answering shell for shell on the shelling, because you're going to run out. You just don't have enough. You can't, they have more. They will always have more. And we're supplying you, and you can't just keep matching them one for one. And that's what's happening here. And so this message, and now the flip side of this is our current president has said, quote unquote, to Zelensky, hey, we're here with you. You can count on our support for as long as it takes. But our support and as long as it takes, I guess, doesn't actually mean an unlimited amount of money and weapons. Even though it feels that way, because we've sat here and watched, 196 billion go over there. We've seen all of the pledges of equipment, and we seem to continuing to pledge more and more equipment. But there is a limit here. There is a limit to the point that we may not have enough of our own, whether it be surface to surface missiles or other things like that they're requesting, that we may need to actually maintain for our own defense, let alone their defense. And there's also a risk, if we give them more advanced equipment, which may, it may be helpful to give somebody a much more advanced surface to surface missile. Then they don't have to spend as much money shooting off a whole bunch of shells to do a lot less damage. They could do a lot more damage with one bigger thing. But in doing that, we then run the risk of having our technology fall into the hands of Vlad and be diagnosed and determine how they could then intercept and block it. So that's why it seems like we send a lot of our lesser advanced equipment there, and it's probably for that reason. In addition to the fact that it's probably cheaper too, we can send a lot more for a lot less money. But this is it's very interesting that these statements are coming out. They're wanting more surface to surface missiles. They're wanting, they're always asking for more. They're never, Zelensky is never going to stop asking for more. That's all he ever says. I don't have enough. We need more. You guys have to help us. He could probably make a fortune on PBS. It's crazy what he keeps doing, but there is a limit, and we got to stop at some point. And that's kind of what this message is. It's almost like, hey, we're not going to not support you, but we have to sort of get you in check. You got to make advances with the equipment we give you. We can't just keep giving you equipment if you're not going to make advances and get to the end game, or at least see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I just thought of that scene from Half Baked where Dave Chappelle's at the I think it's Half Baked, where he's at the AA meeting and the one guy's like, "Oh, for Coke." And I was just thinking of a meme with Zelensky with that on a sign, like a cardboard sign as a homeless person, like, "Will for tanks." It's just every week. It's every one of his speeches is, basically they didn't have any of this stuff themselves. If you realize what Zelensky was when he went in, Zelensky was put in. He was an actor that played a president on television. This whole thing where people were putting his picture on their profiles on Facebook, not realizing that UKR was one of the most corrupt governments in the world. There's a reason why they won't just go, "Come on into NATO," because they've been shady as it's here. So it's just like, you think that the 9 people right underneath him got caught siphoning these funds into $1 million cars, mansions, Ferraris, and Bugattis. You think that they got caught doing all of that? All of these guys were just, funneling massive amounts of money. And you think that the person right under him, all the way up to right under him, was doing that, but he's not involved? Come on. Also, look at the comments by the U.S. in 2014 about who was going to pick who was in power of UKR. And, this is just day one stuff. The fact that people were putting his picture as a hero with his green shirt, hero this. I'm not I'm not for Russia, but I'm also not for UKR either. UKR is not, it doesn't exist. The people of UKR, I am for them. The people of both countries, those are people that are not related to the government, just people like you and I that are living somewhere they didn't get to choose where they were born, and they are stuck in the crosshairs of this conflict, which is, purely political resources, money, power, greed, everything else, military industrial complex, all of this. But there are children there. There are children in UKR. There are children in Russia. The people in China. There are people there, really good people. The governments are, you can't, it sounds, anti-establishment, anti-government. No, there are good people and there are bad people. But somehow the bad people have been making all the decisions lately. As far as UKR, I mean, it's known that they have been corrupt. Even Mr. Gates just did an interview recently and said that UKR is one of the most corrupt governments in the world. For once, I agree with the guy. And then Japan plans to bulk order, but they don't want you to know that because they're sending money. They're sending tax dollars to them. So they're not going to put that at the front of every ask. Like, hey, are you guys cool with us sending money to this drug dealer? No, probably not. Just like if your, a brother or sister comes in, hey, I need to loan money for this crackhead. No. I'm not going to give you money so you can give it to a crackhead. Sorry. Japan plans to bulk order U.S. I guess, though, if the crackhead was nice, and I don't know. If he was a good actor, I don't know. Japan plans to bulk order U.S. Tomahawk missiles by March. Bulk. Just to put that in there. Bulk order U.S. Tomahawk missiles by March of next year. And by the way, there was rumors and speculation that timeline might be moved up a lot. Like this year and March of this year. That was at least speculation going on around the internets. So I don't know if that's true, but or maybe there was miscommunication about March of next year or whatever, but they were trying to get the financials in line for this year is what was speculated. It says Japan plans to bulk order Tomahawk cruise missiles from the United States by March next year as it begins a rapid military buildup. Ministry of Defense Yasukoza Hamada said on Tuesday. Japan wants to conclude a contract during the next financial year, which begins April 1st, to buy Raytheon Technology Corps Tomahawks through the U.S. government's foreign military sales. Now, they want to put it in that budget. That doesn't mean that they can't do it earlier or make changes to whatever currently is going on. Japan's latest defense budget, which will jump by a quarter from last year, includes a $1.6 billion to buy the cruise missiles as part of the biggest military buildup since World War II. But yeah, folks, nothing is going on. They just changed their constitution from defensive only, and now they're trying to build up build their military up more than anyone has done as far as the numbers, as the percentages that they're about to grow their military. That doesn't just happen because they're like, it might happen. Dex, what do you think about this? Like, this is kind of what we said was going to happen.
It certainly is. We've said watch Japan. We've said they're moving from defense to offense. This is exactly that. They know that if Xi takes Taiwan, it's only a matter of time before that expansion looks to the rest of the islands. There's obviously a lot of concern with NK and the shenanigans that they do. And would that expand to something greater? So they are looking to move into a position where they're going to be a much stronger force to reckon with in the Pacific theater.
Yep, and they're saying that they're worried about China, and if China takes Taiwan, then that would be their buffer. Then China could then get intertwined into their shipping and all of their different business avenues that they have going on in their interest in that part of the ocean. So it seems like all of this was meant to be. By the way, Rip Curl was here tonight. If you haven't said hello to Rip Curl, hey, nice to see you. Rip Curl is one of our mods and very, very smart man. Let's see here. Leo Seguros. We have Ilea, of course. Darth Villa. Thank you, Ilea, for being here. Skyhouse, Scooby, Greg I-97, Guacaholic, Sailor Spirit says we're so screwed. Well, I think that a lot of this community will be a lot better off, but Japan knows we are in over our heads and they don't want to be left in the wind. Well, if you think about what happened with Afghanistan, what do you think? Do you think that they believe we're going to come and save their butts? Japan's hardcore. I mean, look at what they did during WW2. They weren't forced to be messed with. They were definitely, that was a strong people. Anybody who fought against them will tell you that. But also, the whole thing with Shinzo Abe, their former prime minister that got taken out with a homemade shoddy, he was for this whole move. Him perishing was like a martyr for his cause. And it was almost within weeks, I believe it was within a week, that his party and the group that he was with that was trying to push this offensive military industrial complex, all of a sudden it was like all the votes turned around and they were like, yeah, you're right. Makes you think, what really happened there? I guarantee you we will never know. I'm fascinated by that stuff because his life as somebody, it ended like that. And we don't know, the true story behind that. It just seemed too convenient for him to perish like that. And then after he perished, it was like instantly. It's not like somebody who was fighting against it perished, and then all of a sudden, since there's not this opposition, they changed their constitution. He was for it. He perished, and it convinced all these other people, like, yeah, we got to do that. It just seemed like that was their excuse of why they did it, or what they told their people. And then, yeah, Japan. Watch Japan, folks. And then the W and the H and the O convenes an urgent meeting over the outbreak of one of the world's deadliest diseases. We'll talk about that here in just a second. I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out the Energy Solar Generator. This is the trifecta of the things we recommend. This is going to back up your power. It's a UPS. It's an uninterrupted power supply, which means anything that's plugged into it, while it's plugged in, again, this thing will stay charged. And when the power goes off, it will sense that the power is off, and it will immediately switch over to that. Otherwise, it's super portable, and it's the new lithium ion phosphate technology, which brags the longest and the most charges as far as the cycles. After 16 years of using this every day, they brag that it will still have 80% of the capacity of its battery, which means this thing will last decades, especially if you're not using it every day. But even if you are, you will still have around the same battery capacity as a Flex 1500 battery pack after 16 years. This is an amazing thing. I have two X2s because they dual link. You can actually double the capacity and double the output. So if you want to power some really big stuff, you would definitely want to dual link it. But again, they also have the flagship Flex 1500. This is still, again, I think my favorite is the X2 now for portability, but the Flex 1500 can be expanded up to 96 batteries, and it can still be taken with you anywhere. The great part about this is if you need more length of more time, you can do that over time. You can buy a battery this month, in 4 months from now, buy another one, then get another one, and you can build up your power banks like that. Or if, again, over years and years and years, if you need to upgrade the head unit, you can do that as well, and they're always going to have that same system. They build like Legos, so they stack on top of each other without any external wiring, so it makes it extremely easy. This is what you have, and you can actually mod it so it can triple the input. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. I highly recommend this. You don't have to pay $5 a gallon of gas for this. There's no gas involved at all. It's plug and play. You put the solar panels out, you're getting power in. You can also charge it from your wall extremely fast with their supercharger, and it's stealth. There's no noise that comes out of this thing. Nobody's going to hear you from 3 blocks away and know you have backup power in an SHTF situation. That's huge. Whereas a gas generator, any thief within 4 blocks is going to know you have one, and if things are really bad, you know that's going to make you a target. So it'd be best to have both gas and of course solar. But if you have the choice, I would probably get one of these first because you don't have to spend any money to get that power. You just put a panel out in your yard or in your window. That's marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and you will get a huge discount, plus you'll be helping our channel at the same time. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle, otherwise you will miss out on the savings. And then, so we've talked about the bird stuff that's going on, the bird cough, and now apparently there's some more. It says they had an urgent meeting over the outbreak of Marburg virus, one of the world's deadliest diseases that takes about 90% of its patients and has no cure. It says the W and the H and the O convene an urgent meeting on Tuesday amid of one of the deadliest diseases known to man in Africa. The leading health body brought experts from around the world together to discuss how to ramp up the development of the Vs and the therapeutics for Marburg, which again, there's no cure, but there's apparently, take some vitamin D and 10% chance you'll live, I guess. There are growing fears that the world could be caught off guard for the currently untreatable disease that has up to an 88% kill rate. To put that in perspective, that's funny. I just got the notification for the show earlier on news. That's awesome. Good timing, YouTube. That's why you should sign up for our alerts. And then, as far as 88%, to put that in perspective, Dex, what was the CV after they figured out it wasn't that bad? Even after that, it was like super, super low. Even before that, I think it was like what? Do you remember what the ratio or the kill rate was? Wasn't it like 1% or 2% or something like that?
It was less than that. It was really, really low.
Yeah. So this would be, well, I mean, put that in 8.8 people out of 10 would perish if they got it. Is this just to scare us? I don't know, because they do talk about these things. They have sort of outbreak. They actually physically have outbreaks of this kind of stuff all the time, and they say, this and that, and they worry about it. The bird stuff has been going around, the mink thing that they were talking about, the chicken stuff that happened. They were closing zoos down and things like this, but I don't know how many of these urgent meetings do they do. I know they talk about different H5 and this every year, but Dex, go ahead.
This is, if the numbers are true, it's slightly alarming, and the reason why is they've got 9 deaths and potentially 12 more infections. So that's roughly 21 people. Between 2007 and 2022, there were only 30 cases. So to all of a sudden have 20 plus cases right now in the very beginning of the year versus 30 from 2007 to 2022, that's a big jump.
Isn't this where wasn't this the same area I want to say on the map in Africa? Wasn't this where military just was? In this same area, in this same body of water? I swear we were covering drills that were being done there by Russia and China. Hopefully it's not like a Columbus thing, right? But by the way, I missed an important part here, which I highlighted. It says the virus considered a more dangerous. This is a more dangerous cousin of Ebola. A more dangerous version. Mind you, the W and the H and the O just had their tabletop exercise of catastrophic contagion. That same kind of exercise that was held right before CV happened. And in that catastrophic contagion, they actually said that the hypothetical thing was a brain-eating thing. So I don't know what this Marburg thing is like, but if it's anything like Ebola, that's pretty freaky. And then scientists switch off autism symptoms using a $3 epilepsy drug. Well, again, that's, pharma would, if there was a $12,000 pill and a $3 pill, I bet you somebody would end up pushed in front of a train, just to let you know. and then that drug would be canceled for some sort of reason, right? Real quick before we go on, though, A.K. Heather Joy, I just want to say thank you. Carol White, thank you. Heath Spear, thank you. Brandy Buffkin, please update us on your health. I've been praying for you. Brandy Buffkin, thank you for praying for me. I will do that here in just a second. There are decades and nothing happens, and there are weeks and decades happen. Vladimir Lenin, Travel with Dan, thank you, and thank you for the massive support, and thank you for supporting Independent. Heath Spear, thank you as well. Brandy Buffkin, again, thank you. Renee Alera, man, you guys, thank you. Renee, I think you did too. Thank you for the back-to-back $50 super chats. We appreciate your support, and you don't have to do that. And thank you. If you didn't do super sticker, 2 different ones, I would think that was an accident. So thank you. And then SM, thank you for the super sticker as well. Nika Talaka, Carol White, Kirk Burning, again, thank you. And Redeemed, again, thank you. Okay, so as far as my health goes, I have some pretty serious stuff, but I have been able to manage it a lot. Some of you guys may know, but I dealt with some. I dealt with the growth, and luckily it wasn't the bad kind. And then I also dealt with intestinal issues, pretty serious ones actually. And I had some stuff going on that you get checked for around 40, and it happened a lot earlier. So I'm doing good for the moment being. But yeah, thank you so much. And I believe that prayers helped not only myself, but I also think that prayers helped Lisa Hall. Her daughter just got in a really, really bad accident, was in critical condition and was on a ventilator. And now she is off and doing things on her own. So I do believe that prayer helps. I still have a long road. Again, I might not have as long of a road as everybody else. Just put it that way. So I do value every single day that I'm here on this earth. Being as if I don't live as long as everybody else, I want to take every single day and I want to make sure that I use it the best I can. So that's how I look at it. And I'm trying to be there for my kids as long as I can. As many of you know, I have 4 kids. So one is almost 18. So almost got them to the finish line. Well, close. Probably take them a couple more years, but just want to make sure that they grow up and can be, go out on their own. So thank you so much, Renee. I appreciate your support, and thank you for the concern. I think that's the first time I've been asked since I was missing shows a lot because I was in the hospital a lot. So thank you. All right, and then as far as autism, so this is something that hits close to home as well. I have multiple people in my family with autism, including we don't want to say it don't want to say it yet with my son, but my son was showing signs of it, but it seemed to have reversed, and a lot of that was because he was born during CV. His speech went backwards and a bunch of other things. But autism, my nephew is autistic. He is a savant. He is an incredible genius. He is actually a very enjoyable person in general. He's really, really smart. He watches the show. He actually watches, and he likes a lot of the stuff that we talk about with, like, if anybody talks about runes or things like that. He has created a language out of runes and real runes. He can actually read and write in Norwegian runes, which is pretty cool. I think that's what it's called. But with this, I think that a lot of folks are obviously in the belief that autism has gone up and up and up. I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, we had it back in the day. They just didn't diagnose it right. I think that it has gone up. That's just my thoughts. I don't know if there's data studies that prove that, but even if they did, they would probably, some other company would come that was funded by somebody else would come along and debunk it, if you know what I mean. It says that scientists are reporting a breakthrough discovery, a $3 per pill epilepsy drug that may be used to switch off autism symptoms in mice, according to New Peer. I guarantee you, if it's $3, it's not going to be $3. That's the stupid thing, and that's the messed up system. The messed up system we have is there will be some stupid thing that makes it $1,000 a pill or something. It says autism spectrum disorder is a complex developmental condition that impacts how an estimated 5.4 million adults and 1 in 44 children, which I think it's more than that now. That doesn't seem right. In the United States, perceives and socializes with each other. It says it is often accompanied by abnormalities such as epilepsy or hyperactivity, according to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A team of experts at Germany's Hector Institute for Translational Brain Research found that the medication lamotrigine, an anti-seizure drug first approved for use in the U.S. in 1994, was able to curb behavior and social problems linked to the disorder. Now their findings are being hyped as the closest thing yet to a potential cure for humans. Apparently, drug treatment in adulthood can alleviate brain cell dysfunction and thus counteract the behavioral abnormalities typical of autism. Just to let you know, even if I believe even if my nephew had a pill that could cure him, I don't think his mother, I don't think myself or anyone else would want to cure what he has, because it has been his superpower, not his weakness. But I know that there's a huge spectrum of how it affects people. So this may be able to help some people. But my bet, and this is sad, is that Big Pharma will somehow ruin whatever this is. What do you guys think? And again, also it says treat them young. That's the thing. If somebody treated my nephew and undid whatever makes him who he is now, I don't think who would want to do that. How do you know that it's not going to help them when they grow up? Again, and I think it helped my nephew. I think my nephew could be an Einstein if he wanted to be. They say Einstein couldn't tie his own shoes or something. My nephew can, but I'm just saying, like, they say there's weaknesses and strength, but it's his super strength, right? But I know that there's probably parents out there that have some of the more difficult thing, but would you change your kid if there was a cure? Would you change yourself if there was a cure? Are you autistic? And would you do this? Would you take some sort of magical pill that supposedly fixes you? I don't know. Dex. Kathy Piana, thank you. Dale Val is here. Let's see here. We've got Laura Gittins, Naomi. Exactly same with my nephew, and he's amazing and super smart. Yeah, imagine if they changed him, if they took a pill and he wasn't even the same kid. If they were treating it early and if they could catch it early, but still. What if then you spent your whole life thinking he could have been somebody else because of his autism? It's the whole thing about, like, maybe you should just let God decide what you're like. Dex, what did you think about this when you saw it?
Well, it's always fascinating when you find other uses for existing medications. My first thought on this was interesting. My second thought was, wait a minute, this is the not only is it an epilepsy pharmaceutical, it's also used for bipolar and other mental health diagnoses as well, which I think it's actually been used quite a bit for that, because there's probably a lot more. So I'm assuming, I have no facts on this. I'm assuming there's a lot more scripts written for that than there is for the other. And also I'm pretty sure that a lot of times when you're dealing with this type of medication, there's a ton of side effects and a ton of risks that go along with it. So on one hand you want to look for cures, and on the other hand you want to make sure that the cure is not worse.
I guess, would you, that's like, I don't know. Would you want to cure something that's a good thing? That's like saying, yeah, I don't know. I had an analogy, but then I forgot it. It would be like,
well, and there's always different levels too, right? Some, functional versus non-functional.
but they still can't, as far as like the older that I get and the more tips that I've gotten from friends and family and people that I've met, even suggestions from Foogle fam, I have had health issues that I have gone the natural route, and I cannot believe that the natural route has helped me more than any pill or medicine. That's what's insane. There's a powder called Intestinal Rescue. Take it every morning and every night. And I was at the point of getting my intestines removed. And that has saved me. And I think it has like rhubarb in it. It has some dust of Moroccan oil or something in it. I'll have to show you and read the ingredients, but I'll do a shout out for them. They'll probably have a bunch of people go over there and get it. It was a woman in Seattle who made this powder, and basically what it does is it makes a wall along all of your intestines before you eat for every day, and you take it, and then everything just goes right through. It has saved family members' lives. Like my uncle has taken it for 25 years. My other uncle has taken it for 18 years. But it's a miracle thing. I won't say, it cures anything, but it is harmless, it's natural, and it's amazing. It's called Intestinal Rescue. So if you want to Google that, but it was only sold in like PCC markets here in Seattle, and then they stopped doing that. But the sister invented it. She died. So a lot of the people that I know that take this stuff, they worry that her sister took on the business, which is called the Nature's Way, Naturopathics or something, but they don't know how long she's going to keep going with it. If she sells it, is it going to be the same powder? They would hand make this stuff. I mean, there's stuff like that. And then there's a salve that I have to get from Mexico for kind of dry skin thing. And it's like, there's salves that have fixed things that, doctors would say, take this hyper steroid, right? The older I get, the more I realize that pharma is absolutely the most evil thing on the planet. That's just my opinion. What's yours? Let's see here. Thank you, all of the mods in the chat. Thank you for keeping it peaceful down there. Let's see here. Aaliyah says, I have chronic gastritis, stress-induced. Aaliyah, I would actually tell you to try that too then. Aloe is great for literally everything. Yep. There's a lot of stuff. Roxy Olomeda, what's going on? How are you doing? Guacaholic, my little nephew's been taking pills since he knew how to swallow. So sad. Little Nam says, love Big Pharma. Dallas, I sense, Little Nam, that you're just somebody who just pushes against the grain no matter what it is. Let's see here. Dale Val Pharma, 90% all BS. Don't trust the snake on the staff. Tomatier. Taylor, thank you. One of my dad's cancer pills also cost $850 full script, $14,000 before he passed in September. They got him for close to $500,000. Jay, that's how they get rid of whatever money you squirreled away your life. When you get older and get something, they charge you $850 a pill and squander away your family's money, so there's no money to be passed down. Go ahead, Dex.
I was just going to say there's an article for you in up next.
Okay, thank you. Here, let me Oh, I already have it loaded. But yes, let's here's a tweet here. So this we added a little bit later because we got it at the very beginning of the show. So check this out. All right. Let's see. All right, let's go over here and then enter. Oh no. No, not back dash. Not back dash. Let's see here. Okay. And enter. So check this out. Truck loaded with hazardous materials overturns in Tucson, Arizona situation, hazmat situation declared. So with all of the stuff going on right now, look at this. So we have right here some sort of hazmat situation with a truck overturned. And this has been happening. Now there's like 7 different events, including the Ohio situation, which may be contaminating the entire Ohio River and the water source for over 5 million people. They're saying that it could be compared to a Chernobyl type event if it's as bad as they think it is. Meanwhile, a lot of folks are asking why the EPA and others were saying, oh yeah, everything's fine, just go on home, breathe in really big. Mr. Gates told us that, you should definitely take deep breaths. And all of his buddies were in the house and they were like, yeah, take deep breaths. So we were like, yeah, you should take deep breaths. I would suggest if you are in Tucson, not to. And then I have an article here about this. It says that a hazardous chemical spill from commercial truck crash partially closed Interstate 10 in Tucson, Arizona. It said that it was hauling liquid nitric acid, which is kind of crazy considering I think, isn't that what the vinyl chloride or whatever, if it's added to water, it turns into, or is that acrylic? If it's something other acid. It says nitric acid has led to evacuation orders as a hazardous spill prompted officials to close a portion of the interstate of Tucson. The interstate was shut down in both directions between Rita and Kolb roads Tuesday, and the extensive closure expected to continue impacting the Wednesday morning commute. So it lasted for hours and hours and hours. Motorists in the Tucson area should plan for this closure impact for their Wednesday morning commute. So it's going to happen. This is going to be a big thing, or a big cleanup. Extensive closure. Dex, this happened. When did this happen? This afternoon, isn't that right?
I believe so. If I'm driving in that area, I definitely don't want the windows down.
Yeah. Think about the video there. The pictures of that seem like they were pretty close. I would not want to be breathing that in for sure. Let's see here. Yeah. Looks like they're right there. So that was Sir Topple Bottom Esquire. All right. And then lactic acid bacteria, says Digalo Designs. Dex, do you want to go over the web only? We have a lot of really crazy stuff tonight.
Continuation of what we've been covering is on our website. So go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link in the description. It'll take you right here. All the news we just covered, any of the updates from the show are on the page. If you already went there, refresh, you'll get the latest information. This orange bar, the overflow, is everything else. So more balloon information there. You can listen to the F-16 pilots. We talked about that article earlier. You could listen to that there. There's discussion about who else has a fleet of spy balloons. So Vlad does. We mentioned the DARPA balloon initiative. There's an entire article about the 10 giant red balloons that crossed across the U.S. many years ago. There was a $40,000 prize to people that could find them. So just a little bit more of the coverage in the balloon category. Definitely some updates from the rest of the story with Vlad and UKR. If you didn't know, he's not traveling via air anymore because he's afraid he'll be shot down. So he has a special armored train. And there's and one of the generals there who was recently sacked by him, he had turned and was on the other side, has now taken his own life. That's happened. There's some updates with Elon about specifically around Tesla. They want to charge him or not charge him. They want to basically not give him access to the 7.5 billion that is out there for the EVs, the electric vehicle subsidies, if he doesn't open up his entire charging network that he's spent tons of money building. They want him to make that available to all the other EV makers. Otherwise, he's not going to be allowed into the club, so to speak. Got definitely some coverage. Oh, wow. This is another one. A Yale professor had suggested that Japan's older population, because they have a very large older population, and some would call it an older population problem because there's so many, had suggested that they have a mass event for them. Apparently is gaining popularity. If you want to know more about that, kind of a crazy story, go take a look. That's on there. The entire political stuff is here. Everything from, Feinstein saying she's not running again to who else is going to be running in 2024, so to speak. All of that's there. Even some neural fingerprints, as they call it, about people's ideology and how that lines up. I guess they've done some studies on that. So if you find that kind of stuff interesting, go take a look. Some more EV stories around whether or not those electric vehicles can be hacked because of the amount of technology in them. Of course, now we've got Bezos trying to race Elon to Mars. Something in my mind tells me it's not going to happen. Elon may get there a lot faster, I think, at least if history has shown between those two companies. And then some updates as well with ChatGPT and school teachers, as well as a few other things that I didn't tell you about. It's all there. It's the rest of the story. Lots going on. Head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link. It's in the description on YouTube and Rumble.
And one of the things there, as far as like the seppuku, which is if you were disgraced, or if Japanese samurais, they would sword in and then up and basically take from a totally separate area. I didn't know about the whole Yale professor thing. I saw this video of this kid talking about his grandparents saying, yeah, this actually isn't a bad idea. So what if this ends up happening where all of the older folks just pull a Hale-Bopp comet or something? Was it a Haley? Was it Haley's comet or Hale-Bopp that?
Hale-Bopp.
No, it's Hale-Bopp, where the people said, oh, the aliens are coming. If we take our own, then we'll fly along with them in their Nike shoes. But who knows? We might see that. There was another thing there as far as, and the only reason I knew what seppuku was, if you haven't watched that show, Man in the High Castle, what a crazy, crazy show. Also, for just suggestions on what to watch, The Watcher, I don't know, they had some creepy stuff in there, and they actually mentioned the chemical in the blood that everybody talked about, the adrenal. I thought that was trippy. And they even mentioned the number 17 group and all that. So tell me what you think about that. Was that symbolism put in there on purpose? Were they making fun of it, or were they giving you a hint or something? I don't know. Russians abandon the wartime Russian historic exodus. There's all sorts of cool stuff down there, so make sure to go check it out. Thank your mods. Make sure to go over and subscribe to their channel on marfooglenews.com/friends. Thank you, Rip, for making it tonight. Appreciate that. Aaliyah, thank you for always making it. Thank you. Nelda J, thank you. Dale Val. Naomi says, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Roxy, what is Roxy says? Why did you call me LAS? Lass? Is it Lass like a... I don't know who that's talking to. You still watch movies made in Pefo Wood? Michigan Woodland Warrior. So I guess... So by the way, I was talking to Dex the other day about the Kanye West thing was going on. One day I wore an Adidas hat, and I got comment after comment because I didn't know what was going on with the whole Adidas and Yeezys things. I don't wear Yeezys. I don't wear shoes that cost more than $25 at Fred Meyer or Target. But I also don't buy clothes other than what's on sale, and never have spent, you guys know my comment on that congresswoman complaining that she couldn't wear her $12,000 suit. And I'm like, I've never spent $100 on a whole outfit. So that was a representative. That's somebody who's representing the people. Obviously, they're very far off base with what the people are. But if people say, well, you can't now, if you can't, because of this, you can't do that. If because of this, you can't do that. I guess yeah, I'm going to watch movies made in Hollywood, movies made in China, movies made wherever. There's symbolism in all those Hollywood movies, and I'm not going to like close my eyes and just turn off everything because because I think that it may do this. It's kind of like this current thing with J.K. Rowling. They're boycotting this game called Hogwarts Legacy, and they're boycotting it because a single penny might go to J.K. Rowling. Even though I believe since then they've actually said that nothing is going to J.K. Rowling. But it's because J.K. Rowling is what they would say a TERF. Basically, she's a trans exclusionary, this or that. But she believes in biology, men, woman, that kind of thing. And she's totally not against the actual people, but she says, her view publicly, that at least the thing that she actually said, was that men are alarmingly getting a lot of access to women's things, and she says that she's actually a feminist, and that men are basically taking all of the things that naturally should be a woman's and taking them for themselves, and that she says that's the opposite of feminism. So with that being said, this whole thing was going on. They're boycotting and being mean to anybody who streams the game, and they're going to all of these, game streamers that are doing it and attacking them. And it's like now people won't even play the game because they think they might be called this or that or whatever. It's kind of like you shouldn't. I guess everybody should have the right to watch whatever they want to watch, see what they want to watch, and we're all adults. We should be able to decide what we think about things because we're adults. Not be told that we can't do this because it might be funding this other thing. If people really cared about that, the same people that are picking on them for playing that a penny might go to J.K. Rowling because it might support somebody bad, then take off your Nike shoes that are made by children. Take off the clothes that are made in Bangladesh or India by children. Take off your diamond earrings that are probably blood diamonds. Like, by the time you take off everything that funds somebody bad, you're sitting naked, and then you see a lone apple and you go, oh, I'm hungry. And then it starts all over again. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. It's now time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Jay, thank you. And Bandy Brufkin says, my invite to talk, to vent is open. Any of that for health issues. Also for their family members, it can be hard, but I get it. Have a good night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marv out. FG made a comment, by the way. My son would be livid if his autism was taken away. I would be too. I think he's probably better off not taking anything with side effects. Guacaholic, thank you, Dex J, Rob Mills, Lisa Dabney, Kathy Piana, Natalie D, WIS Jen, Jem, Patricia Terabile, thank you, Wages World. Go, if you guys haven't seen Wages World, by the way, I didn't get your text until right before the show started. Wages World said that there are 14 or something sunspots pointed towards the world. So keep your head on a swivel, people, and make sure to join us over on Marfoogle Jams for the rest of the shoutro. Got a lot of people to thank here, so thank you. Special travel with Dan, Renee Alera. Thank you. I believe you're top supporter tonight, along with Redeemed. Thank you.